Good evening and welcome to Millennium Stage. Please give a warm welcome to the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Recording Academy presenting Music for Social Good.
Good evening. Hello and welcome to Music for Social Good, celebrating the songs that move us to change. My name is Sharon Ingram, and I am the Executive Director of the DC chapter of the Recording Academy. Okay, we got some Recording Academy. The DC chapter of the Recording Academy is made up of music creators and music business professionals from DC, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. A few of whom are here tonight, I can tell. I'd like to acknowledge that we have a fantastic board that is instrumental in making sure that we create content and programming that moves the arts forward. So if any of my DC board members are here, please wave your hands. We thank you for your service. And she's not here with us this evening, but I'd like to give extra thanks to DC chapter board member and the director of hip hop and culture and contemporary music here at the Kennedy Center, Simone Eccleston. She was the first one that shared this opportunity with us, and I'm always grateful for the work she does. I'd like to also give sincere and deep thanks to the Kennedy Center Social Impact Team, Mark Bamuthi-Joseph, Therese Lagama, Trey McMichael, and Melanie Coleman, and everyone here tonight that's helped us. You all have been the most generous and supportive partners. Thank you so much for trusting us with this presentation. And thank you to the Kennedy Center Community Advisory Board and Jennifer Cover-Payne for your encouragement and guidance. It's been a pleasure just to do this work. And then last but not least, I'd like to thank our staff who have worked really hard to make this night happen. Ash Sheehan, Samaya Muhammad, Miranda Moore, and I have to give an extra special thanks to Natalia Ortiz, who has the unique experience of having both worked here at the Kennedy Center and for the Recording Academy, and she was integral in ensuring this partnership for these monumental, creative, artistic organizations came together and was a success. So thank you, Natalia, and the rest of the team. A little over 3 years ago, the woman standing next to me said to our immediate past chapter president, "I think it's time that the DC chapter develops a committee that explores how music affects change in the world," and our Social Impact Committee was born. The committee, led by Wayna and Mumu Fresh, have done tremendous work. They created a songwriting workshop titled Uplift, and with the help of Dr. Carlos Chirinos, authored the proposal that ultimately became the Grammys Special Merit Award for the Best Song for Social Change. I'm thrilled that tonight, for the first time, you will get to hear from these incredible thought leaders and artists, and I'm sure you'll be inspired. And now I'd like to introduce the DC chapter president, Tamara Wellens.
Thank you so much, Sharon. And thank you all for being here today. Today is a momentous occasion. Not only are we recognizing music's ability to make change, but we are doing this in a place where legislation and change happens, our nation's capital. Chuck D said it best on a recent interview that art is short for artificial, meaning that art is a reflection and it imitates life. Today we recognize and we acknowledge the artistry in this area from U Street to North Carolina, and the music led by the soul-bearing men and women in our DC chapter of the Recording Academy. At this time, I'd like to introduce Carlos Chirinos. Carlos' works explores innovation and creativity in emerging global music industries, looking at the role of music in public health, international development, and social change. He has been a key consultant for radio and music projects in Europe, Asia, Japan, Africa, with funding from the World Bank, USAID, ADRC, the Wellcome Trust, and Toyota Foundation. He was awarded the Director's Teaching Prize of SOAS, University of London, in 2009. Carlos received an award from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the U.S. Department of Defense, USAID, to develop Africa Stop Ebola, a global music campaign to raise awareness about Ebola in West Africa. That was featured in New York Times, The Guardian, BBC, and CNN. Professor Chirinos has collaborated with the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, curating music performances to engage the Latin community living in New York City. In 2019, he hosted the artist, actor, and politician Ruben Blades as the inaugural Dean's Academic Residence at New York University Steinhardt. Born in Venezuela, he studied clarinet and saxophone before relocating to London, UK, to develop an international business development manager for an independent South American record label. He was founder of SOAS Radio, a digital radio station at University of London, where he taught the departments of music and development studies. Carlos is also a composer, producer, and performer, and we're so lucky to have him here tonight.
Good evening, Kennedy Center. How are you doing? How are you feeling today? Welcome, welcome to a sunny day, sunny and very nice day. We're very glad to have you here today. This presentation really will help us explore this topic, right? The songs for social good. And I wonder, does any of you, can any of you think about a song for social good? How about you? What songs come to mind? Right, so many that can come to mind, right?
Freedom cannot rest.
Exactly. And the list can go on and on. But I want to kind of give you a brief summary of kind of a research that helped inspire in a way the creation of this Best Song for Social Change category at the Grammys. And I don't mean to shorten the story of these songs. There is a long history of songs with a social messaging. This is nothing new, right? We know of songs, protest songs. We know that songs and the role of artists played a big role during the civil rights movement. But something happened some years ago, let's say around 2016, 2017, through my research into the music industry and in songs with a social message, I started kind of identifying a trend. And this trend was reflecting things that are happening in our country, but also around the world. I founded the Music and Social Change Lab in around 2016 because I noticed that social movements, and many social movements like the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ rights movement, the mental health awareness movement, and so many others, that started to be reflected in songs. But not only in passing, like a quick mention, but actually themed songs that were specifically about topics like this. And in 2017, I started the lab with two ideas. One was to investigate the reasoning behind these many songs, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I found. And the second goal was to help advocate the Recording Academy with the idea, a vague idea, to create some form of award to recognize the songwriters, the creators, the music creators that dedicate their time to write songs with meaning, with a message that goes beyond their personal feelings and emotions. We tend to listen to music, and majority of music is about love and breakups. Can you think of one? It's either love or breakups, right? But then there is all this field, and I started researching back in 2017 again with the notion of the idea of investigating and understanding this. And with my students at NYU, we started building a catalog, a database of songs. We started cataloging. And what we found over the course of 5 years, I did a research between 2017 and 2022, and we found over 500 songs with specific topics. And those topics were very specific. We found songs about feminism, anti-racism, self-acceptance, the environment, the LGBTQ movement, political advocacy and awareness, and mental health. We found about 8 topics, key topics in those 500 songs. But what was interesting was also how they were organized. We found about 18% feminism, political advocacy, equally 18%, over 20% of songs on anti-racism, and over 23% of songs in mental health. But what was interesting about these findings was not what we found in terms of numbers, but how they were reflected, how we found them over time, over that 5-year period. And you can see there, between 2017 and 2022, you see different peaks. And I probably don't need to explain you what that red peak in the middle is in the year 2020. That is reflecting the murder of George Floyd and anti-racism songs and the growth and rise of anti-racism songs. And that created not only kind of a pathway to understand the songs, and you can see towards the end, 2021, 2022, the fast rising of mental health songs. And what does that tell us about what happened in the world in the past 5 years, right? We went through a global pandemic. We went through all these crises, social and cultural crises. And now that is being reflected in what artists are creating, which is a mental health crisis that we have in the world. On top of that, something that I found interesting was that not only the songs are being released by well-known, established artists, but also these songs are having commercial success. In the list of 500 songs that were randomly selected, we found that 34 social change songs raised over 73 million units sold. This is a Recording Industry Association of America that reported these sales. We also found that around 19 social change songs received 35 Grammy nominations and received 12 Grammy awards. So part of this, I can give you some examples of the songs that I found during this period. Logic's song 1-800-273-8255, which used to be the suicide prevention hotline, that had a major success that sold over 8 million copies. And research reported in several journals actually were able to point out the many lives that were saved by this song, in the reduction of calls made to the hotline, in the increasing searches about support, help during times of doubts and seeking help for suicide prevention. Another really incredible finding of this research is the Lizzo effect and the Lizzo phenomenon. Lizzo herself has started a genre of songs that are about body positivity, about self-acceptance. And that, not only Lizzo is the only artist that writes songs about this topic, but she has inspired many other artists to do this. Lastly, what we really want to do today is to walk you through the story. And this story is the one that led us to the creation of the Best Song for Social Change, a special award at the Grammys. We were very, very lucky to have this year the first award being given to Shervin Hajipur from Iran. And this was given by the First Lady, Jill Biden, during the 65 Grammy Awards celebration this year in LA. So partly the work of many members, including the members of the DC chapter, the work that I've done, and the work that many colleagues did before us helped lead to the creation of this new category. And now I really want to invite you, my co-conspirators, those that help me and the DC chapter build this narrative, create this proposal, pass it through, and successfully created the first Best Song for Social Change Grammy Award. And I want to give a quick word and introduce you to the artists that will join us tonight. The artists are Wayna and Mumu Fresh. Yes, give them a quick welcome. Wayna was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Yes. Relocated to the United States, to the Washington, D.C. area, and she has been an artist for many years. She has released albums and singles that have received recognition. And also Mumu Fresh, who is of Afro-Indigenous heritage, who has been featured in several singles that you may have heard of, from The Roots, for example, and has a wonderful songbook. Both of these artists, I'm very proud to share this work that we did and also to share the stage today. So please welcome Wayna and Mumu Fresh.
Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the wings and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scenes of the gallant South. The bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, was a strange and bitter cry. We're glad to be living in an era where there is an award to celebrate a song like Strange Fruit. Although in Billie Holiday's era, she was anything but celebrated. She was arrested, she was persecuted. Thankfully, that's changed. Unfortunately, some things haven't changed, which are the subjects of these songs. The modern day lynchings that we experience today are in the form of police brutality, and that's what this song is about. It's called Billy Club. I see you in my rear view. I get chills all up my spine. I'm not supposed to fear you, but you're not the friendly kind. You ask me where I'm headed, from where it is I've been. You seem to be offended. It's an awful mood you're in. From the way you're standing over, know that you're up to no good. And there you go out from the holster, cleaning up the hood. But justice isn't blind. You'll get yours in due time. Until the tables turn your soul silently will burn. Oh, Billy, Billy, see how you beat me so. Billy, 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 you promised to protect me though. Lover boy in blue, how your power you abuse. Tell me why can't we just get along? Tempted to call services, that's what you're supposed to do. But how can I address it if the services are you? The way it came to us is clearly not the natural way. But times are supposed to change. It seems like the same way they stay. Fill the quota used to keep accommodations met. But really, to other lives is such a hard thing to forget. Justice isn't blind. You'll get yours in due time. Until the tables turn, your soul silently will burn. Oh, Billy, 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 see how you beat me so. Billy, 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 you promised to protect me though. Lover boy in blue, it's your power you abuse. Tell me why can't we just get along? Billy, 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 see how you beat me so. Billy, 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 you promised to protect me though. Lover boy in blue, it's your power you abuse. Tell me why can't we just get along? Thank you. How are you guys feeling tonight? We're loading a lot of heavy stuff on you. Are you good? I mean, it is May, it's spring, the weather's good. I think one of the things that's so great about this subject of song is that it's not all heavy, it's not all deep, it's not all depressing. It's most of the times very uplifting and inspiring. And one of my favorite social change artist is the great Bob Marley. Any other Bob Marley fans in the room? Make some noise. No, 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 no. I know the Ethiopians love him too. Oh, you do it so good, like way better than me. So I am a huge Bob Marley fan, and my favorite of his songs is Redemption Song. I love it so much that I named my daughters after it. My oldest daughter is named Beza, which means redemption in Amharic, and Zema is my youngest, which means melody. So that's how much I love this song. So. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I. Store from merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hands were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forward in this generation, triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? And all I ever had, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause nothing can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just part of it. We got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? All I ever had, a Lord redemption song, a Lord redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? We got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? All I ever had, oh Lord, redemption songs, oh Lord, redemption song, oh Lord, redemption song, redemption song. Any one of you ever been through a thing or two and you needed the Lord to redeem? And if you ever use music to lift your spirit, then let me hear you. Lifting us up through all our wrongs, reminding us we Bless you guys. Thank you so much.
That song is the American Indian Movement song. I grew up learning these songs as a small child from my mother. My mother, who is Choctaw, and after the Freedom of Religion Act was passed for Native Americans, went back to learn the ceremonies that had been outlawed. One of the songs that I was taught was a Lakota song called Inkpata. It's a children's song, and it tells the story of a woman who's waving her shawl at the edge of the mountain, waiting for her husband to return. And if he does not return, then she will wave her shawl until she becomes one with the wind. And I tie it into the Lakota saying, Ahumatakoyasin, which means all my relations, I'm related to everything. There is no separation in God's creation. So when I see myself as connected to everything, then I have a duty to protect all that God has created. I have a duty when I see injustice to stand up and have the courage to say something, to rectify, to bring balance and harmony. I can't consider my own well-being and welfare more than I consider the well-being and welfare of my brothers and my sisters. I have to have the courage to step out in the face of danger, in the face of anything that may come, and bring and restore balance back to God's earth. So about how many years now? 2016, we were at Standing Rock Reservation protesting against the oil companies that were drilling into the water, threatening the water source. They thought that it would be wrong to run this oil through the nearby all-white town, but it was okay to drill through the reservation and poison the water of the indigenous population there. And so almost 10,000 of us went out to Standing Rock to stand in the face of this environmental injustice and in the face of this racism. And it was like nothing I had ever seen before. And it was so important that the artists came out there because the media was spinning it like it was some wild, crazy people just standing in the face of justice, trying to prevent an innocent act of construction from happening. And the artists showed up, and we raised over $1 million to fight back against the Army Corps of Engineers. And we needed to write songs and tell the story of what was actually happening on the ground, since no one would cover it. And I sang this song here that I'm about to sing, and it's called Inkpata. And the elder said, "Oh, that's an old song. How do you know that song?" And what I love about it is because the language was outlawed. So many Native people were sent to boarding schools and prevented from speaking their language up until like the 80s. I think the last one was closed in 93, actually. And there's still survivors of Indian boarding schools. And you can look this effort up and contribute to it. But I wanted to tell the story of how this song, how the language survived against all odds in the mouth of babes, how this children's song preserved the memory of who we were pre-colonization. And then I wrote a poem on top of it that would speak to my own experience growing up in Baltimore, knowing that I was Afro-Indigenous, but also living a real reality in the ghettos of West Baltimore and what that shaped inside of me. runners, copper color like clay swag, cooler than Indian summers. Blooded by oracles and seers and water pourers and healers. Once were warriors, now killers and drug dealers. Black Mississippi, Choctaw and Creek, but raised in Baltimore, so my vernacular's from the streets. We move carefully. My pack of wolves, they care for me prayerfully. You'll only lose a limb fooling with them. I am the product of a gypsy and a kingpin. I exist somewhere between Egypt and Sing Sing, born to be a revolutionary since a wee thing. Rebellion in the memory of the memories I was drinking. I am the products of prayers and potions and heartbreak and devotion. I come from gorgeous women who cut and shoot and don't say sorry later. Short-tempered and easily provoked. We possess spirits, conjure worlds, see the future, clutch our pearls. Stay hella woke. We enchant men, birth and raise babies, yup, lots of them, on living room floors with no doctors or Western medicine. We carry water, we talk to God, we wash our hair up in the clouds, cause we cool like that, and we strong like that. We cry silently, tucking our disappointment down inside of our ovaries for safekeeping, of course, until the next girl is born. My heart was broken before the midwife even cut the cord. We was born under the floorboards, the ones America likes to forget about, the ones on which you built your pretty little white house, the one on the prairie, the one I'm talking about. Native babies in tender ages shipped in cages to the West Indies for slavery. This is America. Don't catch you slipping, no, look how I'm living, ho. We be the ones we call wild Indians, niggas, go-getters, super predators, go figure, do for self, kings, queens, gods, alchemists, in bondage, but my spirit free. See, I was born to bring a little more light into the world, and that's why you see so much fight in your girl, because God's work is gangster. And I got so much more to be thankful. I am Mississippi, dirt roads, ashe, tobacco field, prayer ties, sweet grass, peyote. I survived the trail of tears and slavery. This here is what you call unmatched bravery. If you want this on your stages, it ain't all about the money, but baby, you're gonna have to pay me. Say we. Call it reparations. I learned to sing, not in school, but in ways you may not understand. Singing ain't even about songs, it's about sound and the laying on of hands. I watched my grandmother pull the pain from the aching bodies of sobbing grown men with a sound that started in her pit. It escaped her lips and it made them whole again. She black Indian. This red and black blood, it runs so deep. This ceremony, this sacrifice is nothing you can even teach unless you crawl back inside of the black womb of the healing lodge and rebirth yourself brand new. And there, when you sit with the plants, you will learn that we are just spiritual beings having a human experience and nothing else is even true. We are spiritual beings having this here human experience and nothing else is even true. Oh, thank you so much. I want to share one more song with you. I wrote this song for Sandra Bland, and I promised her mother I would sing it wherever I went, whenever, all the time. She called me one night randomly, don't even know how she got my number. She said, "You the one who wrote the song about my baby?" I said, I'm raised right, so I said, "Ma'am." Who am I speaking with, ma'am? She said, "This is Sandy's mama." She brought me out to Texas, and I had no idea where I was going. I got off the plane in Houston, and a man in a pickup truck drove me about 4 hours into the bush. But we went there to pray with some women who lost their children. And she said, these are the women they're not gonna put on TV. And these are the women who need mental health services now that their kids is gone, and they need food for the younger kids, and they need help processing what they're experiencing, and they don't have the luxury of being invited to the BET Awards because their children were murdered, and these women still need to be held. And we stayed and we prayed for them all night long, and we sang for them, and I sang this song for them, and I hadn't really realized I was gonna be gone so long. I had a gig in New York in the morning. I said, man, how am I gonna get to my gig now? And somewhere around maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, one of her friends, she said, so-and-so, could somebody take her back to the airport? She got a gig in the morning, and I hitchhiked in the back of somebody's pickup truck, and they took me back to the airport, and I made it to New York City just in time for sound check. But it was an incredible experience. It wasn't no cameras there. It was the work. It was the real work of using sound to heal these women in ways that it ain't for show. It's just for the spirit, you know, and this is the work that we have to do. This is the work of sound, the work of social change, music. So this song is called Say My Name for Sandy. Even the sun goes down, heroes eventually die, shot with their hands in the sky. Your favorite revolutionaries give up and comply, and the internet will justify your reason to die. We watched a woman get drug out and beat and filmed in the highway, and all y'all could say was black women are too mouthy. I'm vexed. My timeline, I'm seeing people find time to criticize and villainize and call it issue suicide. What if Sandra Bland was your child? I know the struggle, it get hard, but we ain't backing out. Nothing is impossible. The word alone says I'm possible. I'm the racehorse that I'm riding for audacity of hope. To believe you can succeed when everybody and their mama say no. Yo, I'm different, descendant of the fittest. I've been reincarnated just so I can handle business. My name.
Say my name.
Come on and say my name.
Say my name.
My struggle be in vain, no, no.
Say my name.
Come on and say my name.
Say my name.
We the warriors, my name.
Say my name.
Come on and say my name.
Say my name.
My struggle be in vain, no, no.
Say my name.
Come on and say my name.
Say
right, how was that? Yes. Thank you, Wayna. Thank you, Mumu. So I think this is just a bit of a conversation, quick conversation to help us wrap up the topic. And I was talking to Wayna yesterday about this storytelling, or this story of how the three of us came together, came to meet each other and work on this proposal for Best Song for Social Change. But I think we just heard it in song, what this means. Wayna, Mumu, what do you guys want to add? What is the inspiration behind you and your songwriting process? What is the, because I think the public, and if you join me on this, we hear what we hear, but we don't know what is the intention of a songwriter. So what is your intention, maybe?
Yeah. For me, the intention is to get to the core of the issue, is to give voice to the unspeakable, right? To give voice to marginalized communities who don't have the platform to have their story be told. I'll say for the Sandra Bland song in particular, I feel like when I was watching what happened on YouTube, the way she was being painted was so unfair. It was just no empathy for the fact that a life was gone. And just seeing her murder justified over and over again, it bothered me so much. And, music is one of those things where, like, it helps to get out how you're feeling, because if as passionate of a person as I am, if I let all that stuff stay inside of me, oh man, that'll be something else. And so creating this song, and I'll say that the song wanted to be born, So I listen for what the song wants to be, what the message wants to be, what tempo it wants to be, what feeling, right? So I am in service to the music and how it wants to come into the world and be experienced by people. And it was important to me to write it in first person, so that when you sang it, you'd have to put yourself in her shoes. You'd have to find empathy for that life that maybe you don't feel that connected to, her story, or maybe you don't have a connection. But I wanted you to have to put yourself there and connect with her humanity, So that was where I was at in my mind. And the more I sang it, the more I connected with other people. Because, you can tell someone something and they can decide if they agree with you or not. But you can sing a tone that touches a person and makes them care when they didn't care at first. It does something and twists inside of them. It rocks them, and it won't leave them alone, until they open their eyes and they start to see a different perspective and feel connected. It is the connecting thread and fiber between all human beings that helps us to feel empathy for one another. So that was my meaning behind that song. And for most of my songs, I'm finding the heart. What's the through line? What's the thread? Where's the humanity? Where's the spirit of the song? So many songs today, they've had the spirit taken out of them, mixed out of them, written out of them, right? And for me, it's very important that the spirit be first. I ask the song, what do you want to be? How do you want to come into the world? And then I sit in service to that birth that wants to be born, that wants to happen.
Amen. I mean, all of us understand the power that music has to really cut past our intellect and go straight to the heart. And if you think about it, even before our minds and bodies were fully formed, when we were in our mother's womb, the sound of our mother's voice, the rhythm of the beating of her heart symbolize safety and love and survival. And music is, so we were literally born within this soundtrack, created within a soundtrack, and music is like this reset button that reminds us of our original selves. Before we came into this world and were told which side we were on, what our identities were and what we were fighting for, what we were trying to protect. So it's this incredible tool that artists have and that listeners have to reconnect with their soul and reconnect with the soul within another human being. So it is a huge responsibility and gift, and I think a commonality of most artists that we want to make music like this. I mean, if there are artists in the room, or if you have friends who are artists, you'll find that service and connection and talking about social issues is common to most of us. And I think it's because with this gift, we have this sense of responsibility of how it's supposed to be used. And thankfully, there are listeners who, give us that opportunity, who give us their ears and give us the openness to speak to our hearts and remind us of our original selves and bring us back to who we are, which are connected beings, right? As Mumu was saying about.
So I hear that there are probably two things. Yes, please. I hear that probably on one hand, it helps heal trauma.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's a little bit of what you said, Mumu, specifically. It helps the creator heal their own trauma. And in doing so, maybe helps their community heal that trauma. I think in a way, as you pointed out, artists are really the ones chosen by the community or by the powers that are to raise the voice of their communities in a way. And I think you find this in every culture. That's something very profound that I found exploring, music in different cultures to the popular culture in the U.S. or Latin America, where I'm from. That music has that meaning that represents the entire community. It's never the work of a single person. That person really represents that community. Am I on the right path?
And also traditionally in cultures around the world, musicians are social commentators. They are responsible for communicating the wishes, the gripes, the concerns, the pains of the general public. Like in Ethiopia, we have the traditional Asmari singer who, plays with a traditional masinko or karar, and his job is to basically improvise songs that tell what's happening in current events. He's almost like the journalist, and he's also the criticizer too. He'll critique anyone, even the highest person in society, the emperor, if they're unpopular, and that's a very specific and sacred role for the traditional musician.
And I would say too, I think the beauty of independent music is that you see that tradition be unadulterated in independent music, or even in the mixtape culture. When rappers put out their mixtape, they say what they really want to say. And when they put out the label album, they say what the label is allowing them to say. And so I feel like those gatekeepers interfere with that tradition. And there's a necessity for that tradition, right, of the journalist to be protected, right? And I think what independent music offers, and supporters of independent music, what you allow is for that tradition to maintain itself and to be unadulterated, and for the artist to have the opportunity and the support to speak truth to power, to really tell what's really going on in their communities, to be able to just speak clearly and freely without the threat of backlash and loss of income, things like that. That tradition must be upheld all over the world. So supporters like you all, support your local artists, your independent artists, and make sure that they continue to have a platform to be able to speak the truth and be authentic.
So I think this speaks a lot about the value of music, right? And what society, what our contemporary society has made us think that music, the value of music is entertainment. But if we analyze it, deeply, music has a lot more meaning than just entertainment. And it's when we start analyzing this, when we start thinking about what does a song mean to us, to human beings, how a song can save lives, how songs can save entire cultures and communities and bring communities together. And that, music brought us together to talk about this best song for social change. And I think to wrap it up, what do you guys, or what do you think is the future of this best song for social change? What do you hope? What are your hopes for this category?
Well, I'll say one of the things that I learned so much from you, Carlos, in the process of the making of this award, is that songs for social change are actually commercially successful, commercially and critically successful. And so really the sky is the limit if the power is in the hands of the consumer and the listener, which it is. So essentially, all of us in this room and all the listeners around the world have the power to make this kind of music, to have it be more prevalent and more accessible, and to have more artists have the freedom to be able to create it and serve their communities through this kind of music, because we are the consumers, and at the end of the day, the industry is following us, is following you.
I really hope that the future of this award inspires young creatives to expand their repertoire of subject matters, especially in a time for rap artists of RICO laws. It's going to be very, very important that artists expand their approach to how they're telling the stories about what's happening in their communities. And I hope that it inspires them. I think for a lot of young artists, social change and conscious music sometimes has been accompanied with titles like corny. Conscious music has been sometimes had negative connotation with young people. And I want to see more young people take up that mantle and feel good about, improving the morale of your community, to really feel good about creating music that young people and children and grandparents can listen to together. Music that can be educating, that can be entertaining and educating. I want them to feel like, yeah, this is dope. This is my responsibility, it's my right. Maybe even it's my duty to speak to the times, to speak to my community, to make my community better with the music that I'm creating. Music is very, very impactful, and we can use it to heal or we can use it to harm. And so I really hope that this award will make young people say, wow, okay, I can aspire to do that, and to make more conscious decisions about the lyrics that they're putting into their music and how it impacts people.
And I think with this great note, we would like to thank the Kennedy Center, the DC chapter of the Recording Academy, and their marvelous team that has helped us put this together. And we want to thank you, the audience, both here and online, that came and joined us and spent this hour with us. We want to leave you guys with our contact details. They are there on the screen. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mumu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Kennedy Center. Thank you, Recording Academy.
Thank you, Recording
Yes.
Academy. Thank
God
you
bless
so
you
much.
guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us at Millennium Stage. For more information about the upcoming Millennium Stage programming, please visit us online or on Facebook. As we prepare for another performance, we ask that you would help us by heading towards the back of the seating area.